Okay. Live streamed, it says got it. Okay. There we go. Let's see here. How do I, there we go. Fluff up the hair. And it's been a busy week, tell you.
Busy week. Oh, I know you're a busy man.
You know, I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate. And if I wasn't a busy guy and fortunate, you wouldn't want to talk to me. So there you go, right there.
Oh, no.
You'd cut me off cold.
Well, I'm here with Robert Berry of 6x6. His latest group or project? How would you describe it?
It's a band. We have a 3-record deal. Yeah, we're a real band.
Oh, good. Yeah, because there's a lot of people lately just been doing, like little projects here and there, and they're not like fully committed. And it's kind of nice to see fully committed.
I'm guilty of that myself, and I've been asked to do a bunch of things. I finally said, you know what? There's so much of that going on, and most of it, it's not like it's subpar. Everybody's good, and that, but there's no heart and soul to it. I said, I'm done with that. I have to find myself a band of guys that I like, I respect. I think we can do something special. Because once I lost Keith Emerson, that was the partner of a lifetime, musical partner of a lifetime. I wasn't sure I'd ever find this dream of mine. And then, of course, Ian Crichton came along, and Nigel I always wanted to work with again. So it fell together kind of organically. So I found this new partnership that I think, I don't know, I could say organically, we make that what that album is. And anyway, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too. And it's amazing that you got with Ian and Nigel. Kind of a different set of musicians than what you worked with in the past.
Definitely. Although I worked with Nigel in GTR with Steve Howe. Nigel was actually brought in as the drummer. They didn't want to use Jonathan Mover anymore. He was involved with them earlier. And the bass player, Phil, knew Nigel. I didn't know Nigel at all. But the minute he joined, he's such a funny guy and a nice guy. And of course, solid as a rock, which that's what I really like. They can play all the progressive stuff, but they got a bit of John Bonham in them, like really solid,
Yeah, that's what I noticed throughout this, this debut right here. That's what I noticed about it. It's just a very solid, power trio, but then you have a little bit of your keyboard additions to it.
And just in the background, I'm trying to keep it minimal. My dream again was to have a new band with a guitar player that was as unique as Keith was on the keyboards. And I thought, well, Steve Howe is, if I could find a Steve Howe, Jeff Beck morphing together of a guy, but who would do that? And it was my manager, Nick Shilton, that called me the next day after we were talking and said, what about Ian Crichton? I'm like, oh my God, yeah, but why would he be interested? He's only been in Saga. That's his thing.
Right.
And it wound up that for Ian, Saga is basically a keyboard band, and everything has to be really clean, and we call it quantized, just to fit right in, no noise, no stuff in there. And he was looking to do kind of a power trio. And of course, I was looking to base the music off what the guitar player had to offer. And when I found out what he had to offer, I was like, oh my God. I mean, the songs just poured out of me. From these little pieces of music, he sent me a little guitar things, even some solos that didn't belong. He just wanted to play a solo. He sent it to me. And these songs came together so magically. I'm like, this is like what Keith and I did. It's just, it works. There's something organic about it that a connection, hard to explain.
Right. That's what I kind of noticed too, is, even his guitar playing is a little bit more beefed up on here than it is in Saga. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there's moments in Saga where he did, but it's like you were saying, it's more keyboard because I think what was it? They had two keyboardists basically.
Two, and then even the bass is on keyboards sometimes, you know.
So
Michael Sadler plays keyboards too and plays bass, but he plays a lot of keyboards in there, and they have the keyboard player all the time. And then it seemed like the bass player, I forget the new guy's name. He's not that new, but he plays keyboard bass sometimes. So there's a lot of keyboards.
yeah, you know, and so it was just kind of, and then of course to have Nigel, you know, with that strong backbeat, you know, that just, I think that if anything, that kind of helped, you know, Ian to, you know, say, okay, let's take flight, you know.
That's exactly it. You know, if we didn't have this solid rhythm section that's really kind of anchored the songs in a certain way, then Ian would have to lock in like some of these metal guitars are, you know, chunking away, or big power chords on the downbeat. He didn't have to do that. We were taking care of that. He could actually, in fact, I still don't know why some of his parts work. They're such great parts, but he's not playing like power chords. He's not playing, you know, like guitar players do all the time.
Right.
And I'm going, wow, Ian, that sounds great. And I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't expect it. And it's so different. You know, I'd see some people say, well, this is, you know, your standard, like a melodic rock. Well, no, White Snake and melodic rock guy, Journey, whatever. They don't do this kind of stuff like Ian's doing. He's got something special there, really
Right.
special.
I agree.
It's amazing. I'm his biggest fan now. So
Right, right. And I mean, starting off with Yearning to Fly, you know, that first sing, it just had like something uplifting about it. And you know, every time you hear it, when it just starts off, you know, and then all of a sudden it just, you know, when you start singing, just like it's almost like there's a couple songs in one, you
it
know.
is, yeah. You know, we're
And
really a rock band, but to keep the progressive elements, it has to be more musical. So I try to do exactly what you said. You know, not like two completely different songs, but it has to have some mood changes. It has to have some things going on.
right, yeah. And you know, it's like, I mean, I mean, I'm sure you probably could have forced yourself to go, you know, full progressive, but then you would have lost a soul in it, you know, because I just noticed there's some progressive rock bands that they can float, do it every album, you know, effortlessly, and then there's some that almost force it, and you can tell, and you can, you know, especially just with the playing, that it just doesn't sound right. It's almost too mechanical.
Yeah, it's
And
because they want to be progressive, you know. I call it musical masturbation. They make it complex. They put, you know, these serialistic words, all these things, because that's what progressive is. Well, you know, the Beatles were progressive. First progressive band. I just did a Beatles show. I never sing anybody else's songs, but they asked me to come to LA to work with Lawrence Juber, who was the guitar player in Wings of McCartney, and do an Abbey Road tribute on John Lennon's birthday. I thought, well, I'm going to do that. That just sounds like fun. I sang 4 songs. And I said, you know, I have a career in progressive rock and the Yes and the Genesis kind of stuff. But the Beatles were the first progressive band. They had all kinds of style, but you could sing the solos, you can sing the choruses, all the, you know, it's like Queen kind of progressive for me. I mean, they had a lot of parts. Yes, one of my favorite all-time band, of course, was progressive. But then again, I don't know if I want to call it progressive or just musical. You know,
right,
musical. It's Genesis, same thing. One of my favorites. You know, I've done those tribute series, and I always did
oh yeah,
that I thought were the musical bands that got lobbed into the progressive thing, but it was just great music. And that's what I'm hoping that we're doing. And by all indications, like I said, if you didn't like it, you wouldn't be talking to me. So I got you
Right.
there already.
Right.
The reviews have been, I shouldn't say this, but 100% positive. The only couple of negative things were these trolls that said some things were like, God, get these guys out of here, you know. But
Right.
the reviews have been great. So what we do in our separate careers, the way it melds together, evidently is something familiar, but something fresh at the same time, and seems to be working. You know, I mean, I couldn't be more excited. I mean, I'm thinking, wow, I thought it was over. I knew I'd do something, but I thought, gee, the real chance of reaching that golden ring that Keith and I were, you know, we first started to get back together, we thought we can do something really strong. I thought those opportunities would probably be over for me. I put out some albums too. There's gonna be all music. I love music. It's great. But this thing has really taken off. I'm going to check the views here on YouTube. It's going like 750 to 1,000 a day on
I
Saga.
noticed that.
Let's see here what it is today. 183,000. Now, for me, it's going to hit 200,000 probably in the next month.
Oh yeah.
That's great. I want 500,000. We'll see if I can reach that.
I think you can, you know, and well, you know, and nowadays with it's really amazing that there's younger bands that are following in the rock footsteps as opposed to, you know, going to the more electronic dance
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes you feel good for the next generation, that, you know, that we're not going to be the last generation that rocks,
That's right.
you know. And I mean, I like all different kinds of music. I'm kind of glad that you didn't do the same, you know, in the same vein as 3 and 3.2, because, you know, you had mentioned that it was a trilogy, and that was, you know, over, and you needed to go to the next step. And I remember when you were kind of saying, you know, I got something going on, but I can't tell you yet.
I wouldn't tell you. I know.
And this, when this, the news came out for this, and then that first video, I'm like going, oh, okay, that's what he couldn't tell me, you know. And it's like, I mean, it's a solid album. I mean, you know, it's for fans of what you've done in your past, fans of Ian's and fans of Nigel. You know,
Yeah.
any one of them can come in and listen and say, oh, okay, they'll get a little bit of it, and then stay for the whole ride, and then hear all the songs and go, oh, what this, you know, it's a great new band. It's taking from all three of you guys and then kind of doing something, I mean, a little more vibrant, a little more fresh than.
I have to say, when I got my first big break, my good friend Rob Fowler, who did the album cover for this and it does so much my website and everything, had sent my solo album around, the back to back, which I didn't do for any reason. I just had these songs and I pressed it up, you know, the band would give them away at gigs. Well, he sent it around, and by him doing that, Herbie Herbert became my manager, which was Journey's manager. And that was like, whoa. And Herbie told me, he goes, look, Steve Perry's putting out a solo album. It's not going to do what Journey does. I said, oh, come on. He's the voice. He goes, no. He goes, a band, everybody in the band has their draw, and the band name has a draw. And what you just said is exactly that. We have 3 guys in the band that each have some kind of draw, and we have this new band. And that the name has a draw too, which is what we're developing. It was my idea to keep it a secret, and we all thought, oh, it'd be great. Well, come on, you know. And the day of release, I went, well, that was a good idea. People are excited, but we're not getting any interviews yet because nobody knows who we are. We have no reach. So it was like there was a plus and a minus to it. Luckily, it worked out where people caught on really quick, but we were nobody in March. Nobody even knew the name, the music, anything that was even happening. So we had to start from ground zero. And it was interesting. As we went along, it seemed like people not only liked the music and liked the combination because they thought it was a different, that's kind of odd how these guys get together and do this, but they wanted us to do well because, like you were saying, it's fresh. It's has a little bit of everything. And I think people want us to do well because it's not a project, it is a band.
Right.
I'm just amazed. I mean, these are things that you can't manufacture. You can't social media these things. You can't influence these things. You know, people either in their soul, their heart and soul, like it connects with them, or they go, oh, that's okay, or yeah, I don't like it. But the support that comes from your side of the screen, you know, not ours.
And also too, for you to be on Inside Out Music, you know, which is connected with Sony.
Sony. Yep. Sony.
So I mean, you're going to get even a bigger, you know, draw from that, you know, because
you'd think so. And we did it first, but record companies, big or small, all have the same model. They do 3 single releases, they promote you for a couple of weeks, and they move on. We're not letting that happen. We're going to stick with talking to people. And again, it's a real band, and we're not going to go with, I don't know, whatever they call this new business model. I believe that speaking with people, and a guy can have 10 fans, and those fans are close to him, or friends are watching your show. Let's say you only have 5 friends watching this. Those people like you, they believe what you're talking about, they might buy an album. Now, another guy can have 5,000 people viewing them and everything. You might still just sell 5 albums, right? You need to do everything and anything you can do to connect with people and show them that it's real and that you care. And the big companies, the bigger they are, it doesn't help.
Oh yeah, you know, it's like I just said because of the United Inside Out, you know, you're amongst other great bands that, you know,
yes,
because I used to a long time ago, whenever when I got into progressive rock, and if it was all on, let's say, the Inside Out label, I would go, okay, well, what else do they have? And then, you know, explore that way. And that's what I kind of mean with that, is that you're going to get a bigger draw if you get people like me that like to, you know, go down the rabbit hole and
dig deeper. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, and I think real music fans will dig deeper. It's just the casual ones that just kind of, you know, they ride all the what's the popular band of the hour.
Well, you know, comment, by the way, wasn't about Inside Out. They are fantastic. That's more of a medium-sized label that really cares about their artists, but they're part of Sony, and that's what we thought would be the bigger umbrella. And in some ways it's helped, but Inside Out's we're really getting our support and our push. And Thomas there has been fantastic. In fact, I got to tell you this: they were not going to sign anybody; they were full. And Ian knows Thomas, the head of Inside Out. And he says, hey, Thomas, Ian, yeah, hey, how's Saga doing? Well, I got something new. He goes, I'm not signing anything. I'm full. He goes, let me send you a song, Yearning to Fly. The songs, emailed it to him. I want this band. Just like that, right? And we had 3 other offers and stuff. But the company that wasn't going to sign, that was full up, had to have it. And they really believe in us. And it was pretty cool. But I just want to make sure you know that Inside Out has been fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. I used to be, back in early 2000s when I was doing reviews, I used to get stuff from them all the time, and it's like it just a variety of stuff. It wasn't just progressive. There was hard rock, there was melodic rock, there even some kind of borderline pop stuff. So it's like they have a nice variety of bands on their label, which is nice, because, you know, there is a lot of progressive rock labels that's all they have. They won't, venture out and just, if something sounds good, but it's not under the progressive umbrella, they probably won't sign it. But it's like, you said it earlier, if it's good music, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's, as I, as I get older, you tend to want to listen to more things, and you tend to like lower those labels down,
The walls
progressive.
you put up. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, those that were put up not by us, but by the industry, to try to pigeonhole bands, and
Mhm.
and if the band did something completely different than what they're pigeonholed, they're like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like it's so wide open. I mean, you can have one, just like what is the reason to feel calm, the
Mhm.
epic, on there. And then the last words on earth, that opening keyboard intro. I mean, that was an epic, and coming off of that one little, I think it was like less than 2 minutes,
No, the
uh, to
live
live
forever. Yes.
live forever, where it's just, just you singing, and so just to go into that, it's like, are those going to be kind of like, that's going to be like the intro to the other song, or is it kind of separate?
I got to tell you, since you mentioned live forever, that guitar part, that song's about 2 minutes. That guitar part that Ian sent me was about 40 seconds. And I just love the finger picking on that. And I took my Pro Tools, I cut it up and made it 2 minutes, wrote the words. I never told the band about it until I had the album totally mixed, ready to go. And they had talked to me about the other songs, updating, hey, that guitar needs to be louder there, hey, snare drum, all that, the kind of stuff a band does, except for I'm doing the mixing in my studio, so I'm a band member too. And we get it, but they never heard Live Forever. So I sent them the whole album to check before we have it mastered. And Ian calls up, he goes, oh my God, what'd you do? That's fantastic. Would you do that? That was just a little finger picking thing I sent you. I said, well, it's a song now. And I said, the sentiment of that song is important to me, because this isn't about death and live forever. This is kind of about who we are, is how people remember us while we're alive. Like, people think of me as a musician. My wife's a teacher. Rebecca teaches second grade. She's fantastic. People think, oh, that she has that personality as a teacher, and they think of her that way. And that's going to live forever, that perception. If we're here or we're gone, right? It was just so cool because I kept that a secret, like we kept the secret of the band from you, right? I kept the song, and all of a sudden there it was. They go, the album's complete. It needed that little cracker between different kinds of wine with that little acoustic thing,
Right. Yeah. And also too, I'll tell you this. From the first time I heard your voice in 3, back in, what was that, 88?
Well, on the 3 album, yes. Yeah.
Your voice really hasn't changed.
Well, I'm going to deal with the devil. I told somebody that today. I said, I mean, you can't trust the devil. That's the problem. We'll see how I do. I was very fortunate. The prog stock, I don't know if I have I think I have a prog stock. This is also, I can't really move this around. I should have done my phone, but Rebecca's shipping and receiving area sometimes for things like this that we did ourselves. This is the prog stock DVD CD from a couple of years ago, live with the band.
Right.
And that's been the main comment. They say, you sound just like you did on the 3 tour. And that's a thrill for me. That really makes me feel good, because I've worked hard. I'm a guy that never did any drugs. I don't drink that much. I drink a little bit. I've been in the studio 5 days a week if I'm not on tour my whole life since high school, because I got a job in a big studio in San Jose. And I've always felt the pressure of tomorrow, someone's going to be in the studio and I have to be 100%. And I do background vocals. I do all kinds of stuff for people. So it's kept my voice in pretty good shape. And to go out, we did 27 cities in 32 days or 34 days. People go, you don't want to sing that much. I said, yeah, I'm going to go for it. And luckily my voice held out, because that's a lot when you're going from sort of climate to climate, different states.
Right.
So I appreciate you saying that, but it also makes me feel good about the future with the 6x6, because it's going to be demanding. I have to basically do the Geddy Lee part, on bass pedals, keyboards, bass, singing. I got a lot of work to do when we play this, and we're talking about a European tour, maybe February, March next year, early next year. And they're talking about releasing a single maybe in February and another one in March, and heading toward a new album by the end of the year. But they want to release it before the album's done, one by one, and a video. And you've seen the graphic novel for that. Have you seen that advertised?
I've seen that advertised.
Okay. I just got him yesterday, so I'm going to show you this. You're the first one. It's kind of hard for me to show it to you, but you can see all the pages here.
Oh yeah, very colorful.
I mean, this thing is, the song China. Let me get to the China chapter. It's all done. Where to go? In the Chinese protest poster kind of look. This JC Baez is amazing. Look at that. Yeah, I'll get that in the camera.
Oh, wow.
That starts that chapter. And then everything that chapter, first time I've used this new computer, so it's all done in this protest poster kind of thing. And then another chapter, let me see if I can find, well, this is kind of surrealistic. This is the Battle of a Lifetime, done in a little more, I don't know what, surrealistic is all I can call it. But then this looks like a Dick Tracy kind of look on one of these chapters. It's amazing. And I just got it yesterday. You're the first one to see it. And the band hasn't even got their copies, because I need to send them some of the copies. I'm sending out the distributors now, because we've been selling these through the 6x6 or my website, and through Burning Shed in the UK.
Right. Now,
and people, what's really cool is this wasn't my world. I've been in the studio my whole life with no windows, basically, right? Recording studio. But a lot of these progressive rock and other music fans, heavy metal fans, are comic book fans too, and they collect these things. And I've sort of immersed myself in this world, and it's fascinating. I mean, the depth, you talk about You Live by Stephen King. I mean, it's that kind of, people are addicted to what he does, that horror thing that he does on. That's the Star Trek fan, the graphic novel fan like this. What is cool about this, JC works with Steve Hackett from Genesis. Did something with John Anderson. Yes, he did some with a guy from Star Wars. I forget the guy's name. He's the real deal. And he contacted me when I'll show you this, because you've seen this before. But when I did the first 3 album, and then or the second 3 album, and the third 3 album, he said, I'm a fan of that music. I want to do a graphic novel. Would you ever consider doing that? The lyrics are perfect. And as you know, I had to put this to bed once we lost Keith, and I had the 3 of them done. There was no reason to go any farther. I had nothing more that I could use of Keith's, and Keith was the sound of 3,
Right.
He was the style. And I was the singer and the songwriter kind of thing with him. I just couldn't do it. So I sort of saved this guy, this JC Baez, that said I wanted a graphic novel in case something good came along. And all of a sudden, this 6x6 album's getting done. I'm going, this is going to be really good. So I sent him an email. You still interested? He goes, oh yeah, send me a couple songs. Yearning to Fly, China, Reason to Feel Calm Again. That's what I sent him. This might be the first 3 songs on the album too. he flipped. He goes, "We got to do this." He goes, "What's the story?" I said, "Story?" I said, it's an album. And I looked at the songs in the order of the album. I can't make a, I said, "Give me a week." And so I put the titles and lyrics up. And I went, wow, if I move that song here and this song here, this is almost like a Tommy rock opera. And I write positive lyrics, right? That's usually, I try to stay positive. And I thought, if I can write this story about this thing, this guy that only sings like ugly stuff in the world and meanness and all this, and he's just sick and tired of it, kind of like social media has made the world now. And by the end, he realizes, hey, his circle of influence isn't bad. Where he lives, what he does, the people he knows, that's not bad. It's that false sense of ugliness that social media causes us. If he can realize that by the end, that travels through all this stuff, and he comes out going, wow, goodness and kindness was there all along. I was good and kind. I just saw ugly, right? It could be a positive message to people that think the world's going to end, right? So I went about to write this story, and it just came out of me, and I sent it to JC. He goes, "This is great." Graphic novels don't usually have a positive thing. They're like Batman, or, they're
Right.
superheroes conquering the world. And so he set out to do this. It took 6 months for him to draw all these and then get them colorized. One guy's in Puerto Rico, one guy's in Chicago, and JC's in Chicago. And as he fed me these things, I'm like, oh my God, this is huge. This is like the real deal. This could almost be a movie, right? And
Right.
The story came out really well, and it fits the music so well that I can't wait for people to get a hold of it and sort of, follow it along and see what it's all about, and get some comments. I just, the whole process has been amazing to me. It could suck. I don't know. Right?
You know, you know, you said positive. I mean, it's nice. I mean, we have, that you putting out positive messages with your music, in, like you said, in this ugly world right now, because if you embrace the ugliness, it's like, it's all over. It's really all over. So by being positive, even though, it's like you got to be realistic at the same time too, but positive, it's like, hey, what's that old Monty Python song, always the brighter side of light?
Yeah.
You got to do that, because if you dwell in all the ugliness that's out there, whether it's in your area or nationwide or globally, you're just going to be, you're going to be in, for lack of a better word, infected by that ugly disease, where
you're gonna be down, you're gonna see darkness, everything's skewed to be bad, even if it, sometimes I always say, hey, I'm gonna give you $10. Why do you want to give me $10? Oh, how about you? I'm gonna give you $10. Oh man, thanks. I can use that for, the positive view of it is so important. I know politics is a lot of that, but I get so sick and tired of people talking about their parties and stuff. Then now I just say, I have 6 issues I want fixed. I don't care what party you're in. I don't care. You can do whatever you want. Whoever wants to fix these, I'm in.
Exactly. It's like, and by you, honestly, by you putting out the positive music, and people that either know you or have, they heard your name, or have, like, whether it's with the original 3 or the your solo stuff, or the other little projects that you did, Hush, all those, everything, it's like, if you always go listen to all of that music, it always has a positive thing without being syrup, where you're just painting a real unrealistic.
Yeah, rose-colored glasses. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it's nice when, there's a lot of songs that talk about ugly things, whether or not they believe in it or they're just being a commentary on it. But
Yeah.
but then it's also nice that we get people that give a positive message, that's like, hey, everything's gonna be all right. May take a little bit, but it'll get, we'll get to a point, hopefully in our lifetimes, that we're gonna not be that utopian, that unrealistic utopian dream, but something where it's like, hey, like you said, I offer you $10, no strings attached. You can pay it back, or like I always try to do, you try to do something, pay it forward, even if you're just buying someone something that costs $1.
Yeah.
It's the kindness of that to pay it forward to the next person,
Sure.
regardless of whatever the cost is. The cost is not the issue. The issue is being kind.
It's from the heart and the mind out. Yes. And too many people think about other things. And one things I like to say to people if they get into kind of discussion, which I never talk politics and stuff, but like say, you know what, there's a solution to everything. You might not like the solution, but it can be solved. The problem we're having is, well, let's just use homelessness. Homelessness isn't being solved, even if you don't like the solution. Put them all in a camp. Well, I don't like that solution. Well, it's solving the problem. I'm just using that as an example. I don't believe that, but you might not like the solution, but it can be solved. We're going nowhere with things. And that's what makes people mad, because they think their side is the reason we're going nowhere. Well, let's find the solution. That's all. Let's go down the positive road. And it doesn't have to be your way or my way, but let's try something. It could be totally against what you want. But for me, if it's totally against what I want, you want to try it, that's better than no action at all. So,
I agree, because then all of a sudden you're just basically at a stalemate.
Yeah.
And then all that does is just build up the anger on each side. It's like, and they don't know, and then it gets to a point where they don't even know why they're angry.
It's not unlike a band, Ron. If the bands that can't get along anymore, I hate to say this, the Steve Howes and John Andersons, oh my God, two of my favorite musicians in the whole world. Wait a minute. Why shouldn't John Anderson be singing with Yes? And they can't find the solution. And I don't need to get into it because I don't study it. I don't know. Maybe it's a bigger, deeper thing that can never be fixed. But for me, Yes is still going, and John Anderson, they're all still going. How about giving us the real deal? Solve that problem, right? And a band like with the new thing, Ian and I, he sent me parts, I'd write songs out of them, I get it back to him, he go, what about this? Okay, and he chops some stuff out, goes, let me change that. We go back and forth. If it had to be my way, this album wouldn't be out. If it had to be his way, it wouldn't be out. Nigel came in, and if Nigel wanted to be Neil Peart or Carl Palmer on it, it wouldn't be what it was. But he decided he's going to lock it down, although he can play whatever. He's a great drummer, but he knew what to do. And we went, oh, wow.
I like drummers that know when to add something and know when to just stay back a little, and just so for the song to sound good, where it's not like three individual people at odds. It's basically, it's three people, but they're contributing and creating, music. And of course, you're going to have an idea that by the time becomes a song, it has bits of the other guys in it. It's not going to be 100% you, because if it's going to be 100% you, then you could have easily done it, all the instrumentation and but I think that's the whole part of in a band.
I didn't even do that with the 3.2 albums. I had a lot of his playing already. I had to recreate some of it. But my last real solo album was Frontiers. I forget what it was called even, in 90 or 2004 or something, that I just did everything. It was just me writing and playing. But I like working with other people. I like doing my piece of it, especially when they're as strong as Keith Emerson, Ian Crichton, and Nigel Glocker, when they're seasoned professionals that know exactly, like if I would have played sang Live Forever, the folk tune, Ian, if you had to look at, would have gone, oh, I could do this. Nigel has said, oh, I should do this. They instinctively know because they've had miles and miles of experience behind them. And that's what I'm a team player. A lot of people, oh, you play a lot of instruments. Well, I do it because I can, and sometimes I have to. But I'm a team player. I like to do 110% of my piece of it. That's what really, the synergy of it all makes a much more fun thing for me.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear that there's gonna be more albums by you guys. That I'm sure that it's going to be as solid, or you might make them even better.
The pressure's on. I can tell you that, because the reviews on this are so great that I'm like, okay, I got to start writing, and I got to come up with something here. When you have nothing, you spend a year and a half and you get this one going, and now you have to start from scratch on another one. It's a big undertaking. So
right.
Yeah, but that's that's what we do. You walk into a room and you have a guitar and a guitar pick, or a piano, keyboard, and you have nothing else. Your words, you have any chords, nothing, and you go, you play, you strum, and a word comes out. It's the most incredible process. By the end of the day, you have a song. I came in with nothing. Where does this come from? We don't know.
That's what honestly amazes me about musicians, that all of a sudden, especially the one that writes the lyrics, that all of a sudden these amazing words come out, and how, like you just said, where do they come from? It's like you guys, you have some people might call it magic, because you're tapping into your psyche, and you hit a key, or you strum, or even any other kind of instrument, and then your brain starts going, okay, now we'll start working, and for it to come out effortlessly is, to me, it's just amazing. I just love all the different types of music, and to hear how, especially with you, when you went from working with Keith Emerson, working with Ian, it's like two sides of the same coin in a way, because there's keyboard dominated, here's more guitar dominated, but you still have that same magic going on.
Well, I appreciate that. I know you like the album. Like I said, you wouldn't be talking to me if you didn't. So that makes me happy. We've been planning this for a while. I've done a lot of interviews. Ian's done a lot of interviews. Nigel's out actually with Saxon, and he's done one of the greatest things. I forget the band last week. He said, hey, we just played this huge concert with Saxon, and 10,000 people. The opening act was so-and-so, well-known heavy metal band over here. The guitar player came up after the show with a 6x6 CD and says, I love this. Will you sign this for me, Nigel? He sent it on an email. I went, wow. Even the other bands are liking what's going on. And the next day he said, we played here, same thing. A guy brought a 6x6 CD, and Ian's out right now. I'm not sure how soon his first show, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. He's out for a couple of weeks with Saga again. And he's actually checking on our tour and things too. And he's over there and getting with the tour manager and seeing what we can come up with. But it's really cool for those guys to be out there and getting response from their fellow musicians. And the tour, what do they call it, promoter, that Ian's out with now with all these Saga dates, he loves 6x6. They go, what a great album, you know. That's the kind of validation, I mean, that's organic. It's like, wow, you know, we had no idea. We just enjoyed doing it, and we thought it was, you know, a good effort by us, but it connected. And it's pretty exciting, especially the thing from Nigel, where the other guitar player for the first opening band wanted a CD signed. Right. Pretty cool.
Well, you know, by you saying that, the reason why everybody's getting attached to this is organic, and it's honest music. It's not, you know, nothing's anxious about it. Nothing's like too overly complicated, you know, complex sounding. It drives, and like it's a good, solid, honest album. That's really, if you had to, what I could, you know, a quote on that would be it. It's a good, solid album, a lot of great songs.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's really.
And now it's going to be a movie. No, in my wildest dreams, you know, they'll make a Batman cartoon kind of thing out of this. And
well, you never know. You know, stranger things have happened. You know, that you never know. I mean, there's people that are making epic kind of movie style films and then putting it up on YouTube. You know, or their own websites, you know. So it's like now there's so much different media that, you know, when we were in the 80s, we only had radio and then MTV,
yeah.
And which, you know, I looking back at it, I kind of think MTV, I'm kind of glad MTV doesn't do music videos anymore, because I think they kind of ruined it was now more important to make you guys look like, you know, the latest fashions and the latest haircuts of the day and things like that. And it's like, and it was taken away from the music. It was more image than music. You know, who cares what your music sounded like? Did you look good? You know, did you, you know, sell a lot?
Got harder and harder to make a good video that would compete. I think that's why these lyric videos now that they've done, like Bernie up in the Austrian Alps does ours for us, and he's amazing. But he pulls things from all over every kind of media you can find to orchestrate the songs, and then the lyrics are there. So you still pay attention to the meaning of it. I like those. I think that's kind of cool that it takes you along. You read the words, you get the meaning kind of from whatever it is, and it's not acted out. It's not some girl on the hood of your car while you're singing the song.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it engages you, you know, to listen to the song, and because it's like, you know, there's once in a while you get those songs that just you latch onto and you want to hear it again, and then when someone puts up lyric videos, you know, and it's like that just makes it even better. It's almost like you're having the record album right in front of you while you're listening to. You got your visuals. I mean, granted, you can't hold it, but it's right there, and it's pretty much up there forever.
Yeah.
So it's like you can always revisit it, unlike a streaming site where, that those licensing things, but at least that way,
Yeah.
your fans get to understand your lyrics. But sometimes, especially in progressive rock, some of the lyrics that they come up with, it's like, you're like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds good. Sounds good.
I'm sick and tired of it. I just can't even listen to that stuff anymore. There's Peter Gabriel, when he writes something, he labors over it and everything, but it's got cool all over it. And you'd love what he's talking about or the way it sounds. The surrealistic stuff that's like out in the clouds, forget it. That's old hat, No, nobody does that better than Yes, and they made it magical. So it stopped there.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, after a while, it's like, no, I don't want a simple story, but I want a story that I can connect with.
Yeah.
Whether it's just a single song or if it's a concept album or a conceptual piece where it's it's just I like to be able to connect with the music. And if they're talking about astrophysics, that I'm like going, okay, I give up. I'll listen to you, but I have no idea what you're saying. But
yeah.
if you speak a truth and honesty about something, it sticks with me a lot better.
There's an internal connection to it then, yeah.
Yeah.
And it also creates a fan base for a long time if it means something to you. If it doesn't mean anything to you, it's like a bad movie. What was that movie we saw? It was awful. I can't even remember the title of it, right?
Right.
Anyway.
That's another thing, the three words, organic, honesty, and I'll throw it out, timeless. That's what I get from when I listen to that, because I don't hear any decade. I just hear that this is something you can listen to 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, and it's going to have that same feeling. Unfortunately, in the 80s, we had a lot of very dated stuff, and in the 90s, very dated kind of, because they tend to just stay too rooted in that decade.
Yeah.
They don't. And, I had a friend of mine, he had a band, and I told him, I said, look, I don't care what kind of music you're going to do, but just do it. Make it timeless songs. Because, okay, you can probably have a lot of throwaway songs that are going to be forgotten about 5 years. But if you want your set to have power, staying power, just write something timeless.
Yeah.
Just something, the great.
Easier said than done sometimes, some people can't guide themselves that way, I think that's why the ZZ Tops of the world, the Creedence Clearwaters go way back, the simple kind of thing. Then they had some great songs and they're just still around. I'd say the Beatles again. Yeah, Beatles different than the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys a little more complicated. The surf thing going on. It sounds old. The Beatles, you can listen to Revolver right now. It's like that could be on the radio right now. I go, oh, that could be some band putting it out today. It sounds so cool, right? And it's that there's simplicity in it. And ours isn't that simple, but I think we have a bit of that memorable piece, and that's me, of course. I can remember it.
Well, each of the songs, it's like you can listen to. The other thing too that to me makes a good album is when you put it on, and you have the time, of course, and you can listen to the whole thing all the way through without going, "Oh my God, what do busy? Let's skip this song. Or it's like, oh, I'm gonna pause this here. I gotta go do, something, it's just something where it's like, put it on and you sit there, headphones, and you just forget about the world. And,
Yeah.
there's I think there was a t-shirt out there that it says headphones on, world off,
Yeah.
and it's like, and that's to me, it's a good album when you want to listen to the whole thing all the way through.
And I got to say, Ron, you don't set out to do that. We set out to write songs and be who we are. You can't set out to say, oh, people are going to lose themselves in this album, because we don't know. We just have no idea. And especially this band, my big idea, let's keep it a secret. We didn't know what was going to happen, right?
Right.
And so again, there's the magic, the special thing that it's like writing a song itself. You don't know how the public is going to respond to you. And for you to say these things, I mean, it really means a lot to me. That it's what we want to hear, and that $10, I'm not sending you that $10. You said, I'll send you. We're getting close to an hour here. I don't know if you set your Zoom time, it'll shut us down if it's.
Oh, no. But, it's like, I hope that the success you're having with this one, especially with the videos, that the next one is going to be even more, because I really think that you deserve it, because I've said this to a couple people, and some people got it, but others don't. There's two singing bass players in the world that I find are actually my favorite, and one of them is passed. John Wetton. And I think someone will probably shoot me down for this, but I think you're the American version of what he is, because he did not just King Crimson, he did other kind of bands, just the same as like, you didn't just do three, you did other bands, you had there was more sides to you than just progressive side.
Yeah, and John sang on the first December People album.
Oh, wow.
He sang, I forget what song now, it was a long time. In fact, I'm going to be remixing that, I hope, for a release next year, a whole package of December People stuff. But yeah, I can still remember him calling me, because he sang part of it in Silent Nights, sang part of it in German. I'm like, what do you think of the German? I said, I don't know. I don't even know if you're saying it right. He goes, oh yeah, I speak German. He's such a sweet guy. He was a wonderful guy.
Yeah, I just, well, he was actually the first, I didn't even know about him until when a friend of mine turned me on to King Crimson in 1990. I mean, I saw it, actually, no, I saw the music videos for Asia. I saw the music video.
Sure.
But then it's like, hear that ferocious bass playing that he did in King Crimson. It was like, I hear you do on the more progressive stuff, like on the three. I hear that, in a way, it's like you and him were, the favorites.
Oh,
I mean,
appreciate that.
Everybody, obviously everybody goes to Chris Squire, great,
yeah. Squire and McCartney, those are my guys.
And then people some go to Geddy Lee, and it's like, those are the obvious ones that everybody gels to. But it's like, I always gelled towards, before knowing about you, I've always gelled towards Wetton. And then when I hear you playing, it's like, it's almost like, you came from the West Coast of the United States and he came from England. So it's like, half a world away, but had that same feel to it.
Yeah, that my heart was always in the English rock. When I was 12, playing in this band with these guys who were seniors in high school, they're playing American stuff. And okay, I didn't know, I just played what I had to play. I was playing keyboards then, but then I got into high school and the guy liked Eric Clapton, John Mayall. They just it was all English stuff. And I went, I like this. And maybe it's because I had so many years of classical piano, which is more European kind of based music, right? But it just resonated with me. And the American stuff didn't so much. Well, in San Francisco, I still don't like the San Francisco music, or that Jefferson Airplane and that kind of stuff was never close to my heart. But the English stuff always was. And of course, the Beatles, my dad had the Vox guitar and amp store, imported the same kind of amplifiers the Beatles used. So I'd see these posters of the Beatles and all these bands that use Vox. English again, right? All English stuff. The guys in the United States uses Fender amplifiers. I don't want a Fender. When I play in a band, I want a Vox. I want an English amp. So I was always influenced by that. And then, of course, look at my big break working with Steve Howe, and then Keith and Carl's, and Jeff Downs worked with English guys.
Right.
I'll tell you a funny story. San Jose is Silicon Valley. That's where everything started. Apple, everything, all the high-tech companies. I'm going in 1987, after I've done with Steve Howe and GTR, going back to start the album with Keith and Carl. Go to San Jose Airport, get on the plane to head to probably New York to London. And there's Ringo Starr and Barbara Bach there at the San Jose Airport, just sitting there. And I went up and I said, Ringo, I'd never bother you, but I thought you'd be interested. You know the Emerson, Lake and Palmer guys? I'm going there to basically replace Greg Lake. I'm going to England for my big break. Like you came here for, and he goes, that's odd. And he looked back down. That was all he said. That's odd. So I got to meet Ringo and he told me how odd it was.
Well, it's like there's some people that they get too big for the britches.
Yeah.
And they forget that if it wasn't really for the fans, they wouldn't be known,
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And
we have a responsibility to those fans too, I feel. When I took my 3.2 band out there and it sort of played my history in music, I walked out and talked first. I said, I'm here to thank you guys. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to promote a new album. That this Prague Stock thing wasn't even going to happen. I mean, this album, the band was so good that I thought, I got to put out a live DVD. I got to do this because the band is just smoking hot. Andrew Collier on the keyboards. He played everything I've ever played keyboards on and all the Emerson stuff. And he was amazing. Right? And Paul Keller is my friend forever from Hush on. Paul's done everything with me. Went on tour with Keith Carl and I in 3. And then Jimmy Keegan, the drummer, he's from Spock's Beard, but he actually has the high vocals. He has the greatest voice for those high harmonies. And when I heard it back, I'm like, holy smokes, this really should go out, And I forget when I'm telling you this. Anyway, I forget, but the band was so good. We put that out. And I couldn't be more proud of that. But to go out and thank the fans first and say, I'm doing this because you've allowed me to make a life in music, which a lot of my friends didn't get to do here in town. They had to go on to high-tech jobs and whatever else they did, And I'll never forget the people that brought these albums to sign that I go, where did you find a Hush album? Where did you find that 45 from, it was a kind of amazing thing for me. It was empowering in a way. I think it set me up to really want it bad, even though I didn't know that Ian and Nigel and I were getting together, but I wanted something really, really bad that was close to my heart and really good. I mean, I can't explain it any other way. That was important, that maybe could be my Sgt. Pepper's, the thing that I've always tried to reach for, that, I don't know, that album that connected with a lot of people. So far, this one is doing pretty good.
Yeah. Great one, and if people don't have it yet, I strongly recommend getting it. If you want some good, it's great. Let's put on headphones, but it's also driving music. It's like it makes that little trip wherever you're going, makes it just go a little bit faster, because you're paying attention. Obviously you're paying attention to the road, but the music, you're not hearing, certain background annoyances, It's just almost like it's just a perfect album.
I spent a lot of time mixing that. I really, really took a lot of care and checked with everybody in the band and management and said, what do you think? And anybody had a comment, I'd go back and take a look and listen, and I'd adjust it. And even if I didn't think it was right, I'd start with a little something, and I kept updating. And I'm really proud of the sound and the way it turned out, and the stereo of it, everything. The drums sound great. Ian's guitar is just amazing.
Yeah, that I guess it's just perfect. I say marriage of the three of you guys.
But it starts with his guitar. I won't start a song unless, even if it's like Live Forever, 20 seconds of a 2-minute tune, 40 seconds. He has to send me something that inspires me. It can be just a riff. China, which is heavy, was the finger picking that's in the background. That's what he sent me. I went, God, I can put this heavy riff on top of that. I don't know why, but that inspired me to write the rest of that song. And then when he did the solo with reckless abandonment, I go, wow, Ian, what is that? He goes, hey, it's got the anger of, the Chinese people toward the Chinese government. I said, definitely, man, you just really, he ripped it up. And noisy and crazy stuff he couldn't do with Saga. He wouldn't get away with that.
Right. Yeah, that's sometimes you need that avenue to do something a little bit different, that's a little outside your box of how you do things. It's pretty cool that you were able to get these two guys to help, and form a new band, people such as myself that, I used to say I was a prog fan, but I think I'm more of a music fan.
Yeah.
I just love when it's a good, solid song. It doesn't matter if it's like a 2-minute thing or if it's a 10-minute thing, as long as it keeps me engaged and wants to return to it. Because there's been songs by other people in the past where you listen to it once and you shell, and that's it. You don't want to listen to it again. You go, I heard it.
It's not that it's bad, it's just not compelling. It's
Exactly. And I don't know about you, but I put all my music that I'm going to listen to in my car on one of these, because it's just easier and more convenient. And so it's like I always put in like 10 albums, and then each week I kind of change it up. But for some reason, your 6x6 has been staying in there for months since I got it.
That just went up to $20 I gotta send you.
I'll just keep on making good music, and we're even.
All right, sounds good.
So, well, I think
we've done it. I'm getting hungry now, so I need a milkshake or something.
Oh, there you go. I want to thank you again. I mean, this is the third time we got to talk, 2 with 3.2, and now with 6x6. I'm sensing a number theme here.
There'll be nothing 9. It's not
no nines. No 9. I'm sure someone's probably pointed that out, but it's just I have a friend of mine that is very cynical when it comes to music, and it's like, I tell him what I buy, and he goes, "Where'd you get that? That sucks." I go, well, I got it because I liked it. I said, you got stuff that I don't like, but I don't, it's like, it's a personal thing. I think music is really a personal thing. It's like someone's going to like heavy metal. Someone's just going to like rock. Someone's going to like pop. And so on. They're going to like only a certain style of music, and they're never, ever going to broaden their horizons and listen to something a little different. And I used to be like that. I used to stick with certain music styles up until about mid 90s, and then just slowly just said, something, I'm missing out. My ears are missing out. My ears want to hear something different. My brain wants to be challenged. Progressive rock is fine, but I just need a little more variety.
I, on the last 3.2 album, Third Impression, knew that I had to leave the keyboard heavy stuff behind because Keith was it for me. He was the guy, right?
Right.
I can't do better than that. So I put more guitar on that album, thinking that either I'm going to chase away the fans that like me and maybe get some other guitar-oriented fans, or I'm just going to ruin the whole thing. And people like that album better than the previous two. It was really something. Even the reviews were, we love this album, which had more guitar on it. So I figured when I did 6x6 with Ian that I wouldn't lose any fans, if you want to call them fans, but friends, music lovers of the style and the people I'd worked with. People are more open now. In 1988, they weren't so open. They just wanted me to be Greg Lake. They didn't even care if they liked the songs or not. I was not Greg Lake. I needed to go. I understood that. Greg and John Wetton were my favorites. I love the music, although Squire and McCartney are my influences, but the music that they made with Greg and John, right? So I understood why people wanted me gone and Greg back in. But now, these days, people are more accepting of even the first three albums and guitar, keyboards, whatever. They're fine with kind of a lot more things than it used to be, which is really nice, because you're right that especially the prog heads were so narrow-minded, and if a song wasn't 8 to 10 minutes and mostly keyboards and stuff, then they weren't going to even listen to it. So it's not like that now. Most
no.
I find.
I still notice some people that that they're narrow-minded on that sense, and it's like I'm like, well, you should really try listening to this. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're not going to like it.
Yeah.
And what's the benefit? You might find it could be your favorite album of all time. That's a bit of a stretch on some things, but it could be a favorite album of yours that you're going to always want to go revisit.
Yeah.
Again and again.
This friend of yours that hates everything. Has he heard 6x6? How much does he hate us?
I don't know if I sent him a few days ago the music videos, because I figured what better way for him to hear it instead of me saying, okay, it's at, because he's a big Saga fan. He's a huge Saga fan. He's the one that kind of, I was into them when they, in the 80s, when they had that On the Loose song. They're hits from the 80s. So I kind of knew them, but then he was the one that kind of like go, oh, you need to get this album. Don't get this one, get this one, and it's like, oh, okay. And it's because of him that I have, a majority of the Saga album. I don't have them all, but I have a majority. Like, I want to say 80%.
Yeah, the guys that like Saga are all like, man, Ian is really, wow, unleashed,
Yeah.
A lot of them are Ian fans that like Saga. They like Sadler's voice. They like the style of music, but they love when the guitar does that little plucking thing he does, and he might like it. You'll find out, I guess.
Yeah.
send me an email, private, a PM, to tell me your buddy, Attila the Hun, tell me what he thinks.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I appreciate you taking the time out, you know, to do these Zoom
My
things
pleasure.
with me.
My pleasure.
And I learn a lot, and I feel more of a connection
Cool.
to musicians and and everyone I
Yeah.
do these with. I'm closer to you than I was of bands that I grew up with. I mean, because they were.
Don't tell your girlfriend that, okay? I get some jealousy going there.
So I look forward to the next one when it comes out. I'm hoping somewhere down the line our paths cross, so like you live somewhere, be kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
I know we need in my area we need some live music.
Really?
I mean, there is some, but it's just very limited. Like I think it's next Friday, we have an Italian Black Sabbath band that's playing at a club here.
Okay.
And I'm like going, wow, they're coming all the way from Italy to Bangor.
Really?
I mean, you'd think that maybe they'll go to a bigger city, but I guess,
Interesting.
and perfect time of the year for a Black Sabbath tribute album.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So, but I think the club that they're playing at, it's a fledgling club, so they're kind of trying to get more going. It's a well-rounded music stuff going there, but for the most part, they kind of stick with danceable music, and so. But
yeah.
be nice. I mean, I know if any band really comes to Maine, they're gonna go to Portland.
Yeah.
Big city. You're gonna bigger. But there's a couple nice venues here in town. We got one by the waterfront, open air, and then we got a little arena. I think 5,000.
Yeah.
5 or 10,000 seats.
We're trying to do 600 to 1,000 seaters on our own. We were thinking about let's open for somebody to get out there, but we don't think we really need to do that. We're thinking with the 3 of our names and this new band launch name, which is doing very well, we should be able to fill 600 seats really easy, and 1,000 shouldn't be too much of a stretch. And that way we can control the show. We can make it more personal. We can just do our thing and really bring this band, which is going to be a lot of work. The music is not easy, even though it's not super complicated. It's a lot of sound there and stuff. And that's sort of the hope right now. We'll see what actually is the reality of it, but we'd like to keep it a little smaller. Again, close up, shake people's hands, say, hey, even though it's the new band, thanks for helping us launch like this. Because even the record company says this is kind of amazing. A new band doesn't get this kind of coverage, It's just
right.
So pretty. There's a lot of hope there.
Yeah, and I honestly prefer to see a band in a smaller venue than a big arena, because then you just feel like you're lost in it.
Especially for us as an opener, we'll do 45 minutes and get pushed around by whoever it is to not use the full PA, the full lights. That's what happens to the openers. And we're thinking we'd rather do a nice quality. Well, Steve Hackett's doing that with his Genesis thing. He's doing theaters and it's fantastic. And he gets rave reviews and the audience is really rewarded with a great show. And and they don't get canceled from COVID quite as much either. The big ones, like Ringo now, he's canceled everything. He's got COVID and He says he got it again, but he only had it like 2 weeks ago and canceled some shows. So I don't think he ever got over it. He might have the long-term COVID where he doesn't want to risk being around people, whatever it is, you know. Me, I want to get COVID every year and get my immunities up, but I'm healthy. I mean, it's totally different, you know, but I could see him with that band and the crowd and everything. They say it costs $900,000 for every show he cancels.
Wow.
Oh man, that's what I mean. The small venues are better, you know. People won't go, they're not losing as much money in their ticket. If they get sick, I mean, even the flu, I mean, who wants the flu, right? They get sick, they just don't go. But you spend a big ticket item, like go see Ringo for $250 or something. It's hard to lose that money, even though you're sick. I don't think people will go if they're sick, but I don't know. It's a volatile kind of thing. The smaller venues are, I think, are safer and easier to handle.
And plus, also, if you put that aside, you get to see the people.
Yes.
You know, you're not like looking at a whatever. You know, it's like a bunch of, you know, supposed to be people out there. You know, you can't see how they're reacting. I mean, you see the people up front how they're reacting, but it's nice to know how everybody's reacting, not just, you know, the people that you can are right up, you know, front row center. You know, you want to see where everybody. And like I said,
people go home and they tell people next time they hear you got to see them because you put on a good show and it's personable. And I think you build the kind of grassroots fan foundation that will buy every album, like you say, you have all the Saga albums almost, you know. You build that kind of faithful audience that wants to know what you're up to because you care about that audience, you know, and they care about you.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's lunchtime.
All right. Well, thank you again. You know, I appreciate the time, and hopefully we get to more video. Like I said, you can put out a couple of videos in the early part of the year and doing some touring. Is it going to be U.S. or Europe?
It's European is what the plan is to start with. It takes a lot to break anything in the U.S. right now. And we're a flavor of the month kind of country, you know, and hip hop and all that is the new stuff that people go to see. And we don't have a whole lot of places that we could tour and probably make sense until we bust it out somewhere a little bit bigger.
Right. Yeah, it could water, so to speak, you know.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Yeah. It's a pleasure. I always like talking to you.
You too, and I appreciate, you know, the time.
No problem. I'm glad to do it, and I appreciate your good words about the album and caring about our success and everything. There's nothing better than that. The people that you like, you have known you a long time now. You know, I know that when you talk to friends, you go, "He's kind of a jerk, but the music's really good," and that's all I care about. No, I appreciate your support, Ron.
Oh, no problem. You know, music helps me go, you know, day to day, and it's good for the healing, for the soul, you know, everything. You know, it really it like you said earlier, you know, it takes your mind off of all the ugliness in the world. You know, it's an escape. That's the one thing. It's always kind of been for me, been an escape. You know, it's like I can just basically shut off the world, put on my headset, and I can go into whatever musician's world, you know, whatever their topic,
you
know, and I can listen to what they got to say, see if, you know, and, you know, that, you know, back then 45 minutes, now it's 80 plus minutes, no, 79 plus minutes on a single disc, you know. It's like, so it's like, you know, got more to escape to nowadays.
That's what I'm hoping that I with this thing, that I get some people saying, Man, I lost myself on the story. We'll see what happens. Like it's a new world for me. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's going to be cool. Somebody like you that absorbs the music and really takes it and lives it. Not everybody's like that. You know, some people just they hear the sound, whatever they may just like the singing, or they just like the words, or they like the band and they accept it all. But with the graphic novel, you're actually reading the story. It's there in black and white, what it's about. And I'm going to be really interested to see if people like, care, and get. The thing is, hey, if you see darkness, if you see ugly, maybe it's from you out. You know, look around your inner circle, and maybe you'll see, you know, oh, your parents and your friends and your big desk. Maybe you get that new desk in a smaller desk. I mean, there's some nice things in your circle of influence that you can control. And maybe you ought to focus on that circle of influence and doing some good. Give a dollar to that guy that's on the homeless guy on the street, you know, unless he smells like alcohol. Maybe give him a, you know, just be kind, which you mentioned earlier, you know. You put out some kindness.
Exactly.
It's time for lunch.
All right. Well, thank you again. And we'll talk soon.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right. You take it easy.
You too.